What is at-will employment? Come on now. I mean it. What actually does at-will employment mean? My name is Pandy Pridemore. You're listening to The Human Resource. And I'm asking this question, not because I don't think you know, but what I question sometimes and what I'm concerned with sometimes is that there are some of you out there who don't quite understand how to utilize at-will employment. At-will employment is one of those policies that the attorneys that I work with, and we just consider it a core. It is a staple. It's a handbook policy that absolutely should be present. In fact, if you didn't realize it, there's only one state in the United States that's not considered at-will. So that means that all of you, with the exception of Montana, are at-will employment states. Now, that means that you can separate in part termination, or you can terminate the employment for any reason or cause, and the employee has the right to end the employment or terminate for any reason or cause. It's an open book. No one is to feel like when they take a job, they're stuck. Servitude has no place here in the United States. And even in Montana, let's clarify here real quick. Even in Montana, at-will does kind of exist within the first 12 months of employment, very similar to the 90-day introductory period that many of you have. And it might be 30 days, it might be 60 days, but we really don't want to go more than 90 days. But that introductory period is that, you know what, if I don't like the socks you're wearing, if I just don't feel warm and fuzzy, we can part ways. I don't have to have a lot of documentation. I really don't have to have a lot of details, but I can't break the law. And that's why I thought it'd be a good topic today, because here in the last few months, I've had several employers just look at me and go, look, hey, I can just terminate him for whatever I want because we're at will. I don't need a reason. I'm just done. And that's when I kind of have to slow back, kind of lean back and slow them down and say, well, wait a minute. Okay, yes, we have at-will in your handbook. And yes, you are practicing at-will employment, but there's a lot more that has to be considered. So I kind of wanted to go back and talk about how we exercise at-will employment, because it is a serious thought, and the employee is going to take it as seriously as you do. Can they walk off the job? Absolutely. Absolutely. They can terminate. But when it comes to the employer deciding that they want to end or terminate an employment relationship, you have a much bigger job, because you have to prove that it was for no other reason than it just wasn't working out, that it wasn't discrimination, that it wasn't harassment, that it wasn't due to retaliation, because those are all very protected considerations. But then at the same time, we've got states like New York who are stepping in and saying, well, wait a minute, we don't even think that's good enough. We want to know, what do you mean it just didn't work out? So here's where I want to really challenge you. I want you to all believe that you live in New York, and that if you choose to terminate someone, if you choose to exercise at-will employment, have some sense of reasoning behind it. And of course, I'm always going to tell you to document whatever reasoning you come up with, but be specific. Well, they violated our attendance policy, or they just can't, from a personality standpoint, they just don't gel with the group. They're not a team player. They're not enjoying the job. They don't enjoy working with clients. They don't enjoy working with our customers. They don't agree with the products that we sell. They don't feel that culturally we're the best fit for them. You see, that's more tangible than filling out an unemployment paperwork and just saying, well, it just didn't work out. Let's go back to performance. I see so many times where someone will say, well, we just terminated him because he just wasn't working out. Okay. Well, his performance just wasn't what we were looking for. I don't think he even had the skills or the competencies to have the job. Well, what does that mean? You see, when unemployment agencies, when a plaintiff's attorney is looking at this, when you hire somebody younger than that employee, when you hire someone of a different ethnicity, maybe a different sexual orientation or a different gender identity, what does that look like? And you might have had the best intention. Maybe the performance was lacking, but you've got to be able to prove that before you just say, well, he just wasn't working out. I just didn't like his performance. You see, employees can file a claim against you with the EEOC, even Wage and Hour, National Labor Relations Board. They don't have to have any proof. They can pick up the phone, they can make a statement, and you now have to go on the defense. Think about how much easier it is to be defensive and stake our claim if we have documentation, if we have proof that the performance was deficient, that the skill sets were missing, that they didn't show up for meetings, they weren't available when we needed them, they didn't have the demeanor or the customer service skills to deal with our clients. That makes it so much substantiated. It makes it so much more valid for us to make that separation and claim under at-will employment. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are going to exercise at-will employment, make sure you've got the evidence. Make sure you've got the data. Make sure you've gone through the process of verifying that they didn't have or didn't demonstrate the customer service skills that you needed for your customers or clients. Talk about where you saw a lack of competencies. Show where they didn't meet the milestones. Prove that they didn't meet a meeting or that they're ghosting calls. Show that it's not personal. Provide evidence that it is business related and that you're exercising at-will employment because it really wasn't a good fit for these reasons. At-will employment is meant to be exercised. It is in place to make your working relationships with your employees much more productive. In fact, me and the attorneys that I work with, we like to see it, the at-will employment clause, in 3 different places. I like to see it in the offer letter. I like to see it on the back of the employment application, down there where the signature is. I like to see it in the handbook so that not only do we have one observation of that policy, but we've got 3 statements signed saying, yes, I understand. If the employer doesn't feel I'm a good fit, I'm not going to be here. If I don't feel that this is the job that I truly am happy at or that I want to spend time with, I don't have to stay. At-will employment is not there just so you can throw it out and use it at any level of discretion. At-will employment is there to protect both the employer and the employee. Even Montana knows that. But did you? Slow them down, HR people. Don't let them be firing people just because they're at will. That's it for today. Thanks for listening to The Human Resource.